like and subscribe for more anime and gaming content. Hello and welcome all. Today we are ranking all the current 15 playable characters in Action Taimanin from who are the easiest to use to the hardest one to use. We will have 4 categories for this ranking. 1 is hard to use. 2 is intermediate, has a little learning curve. 3 easy to pick up. And last brain dead. As always, this ranking is highly subjective and based on my personal experience playing Action Taimanin. With all the characters. If you find you have an easier or harder using a certain character, it will always be on your play style, time, and effort because you have invested on that certain character. Alright, let's begin. Hard to use. Suching Lei. She is one of the hardest characters to pick up in the game. Though she's fun to play as. Her moves are very technical and actually needed a buff to do better later on. She has a learning curve to her skills. Depending on timing for certain skills and your efforts to learn her skill set and where you get better with her. Suching Lei can either be very frustratingly good thanks to early weak damage or be very powerful when you have invested the time for her. Either way, she is not really good for beginner character to start with. Unless you want to waifu her. Thus she falls into this category of hard to use character. Next is Noa. Noa on paper really looks powerful due to her skills. But, yes, there is a big but. Her moves are slow and nearly all her skills are unsafe from her regular attack strings, skills, and timing of skills. Though she has high HP and defense to compensate for these shortcomings. She has a learning curve for proper timing her skills so she can do massive DPS to enemies. Overall, she is a bit chore to use, but is so satisfying if you get those enemies with her skills. I would even go to the length to say Noa needs a buff and skill rework. But overall, her voice and cuteness makes you want to play her, though she is a hard character to use at the start. Kierra. Yes, the twin-tail bombshell whose hybrid moves are all over the place. She has attack cancels and string cancels which has a learning curve to them. Some timing as well on the dodging of her skills and executing some of her skills which actually are either slow or has lengthy animation, why I prefer using her more offensive green build. She also has a combination of melee and range attacks which is good, although it falls a little short due to her weak recovery. Her main compensation for all these is her high defense, but she has lackluster stats. But as said, her green build gives her massive damage overall, which is the best build to use early if you want to pick up Kierra early as a starter character. She's not a good beginner character unless you really like her. Go for it. Okay. On to intermediate, has a little learning curve category. Oboro. Oboro shares some similarities to other Taimanin skill-wise like Asagi, Sakura, and Ingrid. Fast evasion, teleportation to the back of enemies and a spin attack build. The reason why she's intermediate is because of her learning curve of timing the skills, but once you have gotten it, Oboro is very good to use, though with her weak attack stats and single target enemy nature on her skill list. There needs to be planning the next move, who and where to attack the enemies. Overall, though, she's pretty weak against other characters and higher level enemies, but has high HP to compensate for the damage taken. I can't recommend her as a beginner character as well, she falls on that thin line being hard to being intermediate. It's thanks to her hypnosis skill which makes her good. Our next character is Shira Nui. Shira Nui has a slow starter wind up on her attack string animation which will need a bit of timing when fighting enemies. Not to get hit first. Though she had a significant speed and animation buffs, a few of her skills still needs timing and learning the strategy. She's a good zoning character due to her projectile skill, evasion counters and evasion skills. It's either you are gonna zone enemies for a counter or be in their face for attacks. Shira Nui has that give and take. Overall now she is a great character to use, the only problem is her starting weak stats. You really need to build her up from the ground up. Next is Ingrid. Ingrid shares too much similarities in builds with other characters, making her kinda of easy and not easy to pick up. If you've been using characters like Asaji, Yuki Kaze, Suchinglei and others, you'll be at home with her skill set. Though she plays similar to other characters, her main strategy is different. The only thing you really need to learn about Ingrid is that her attack strings are really stiff, though powerful because she has the highest attack stat in the game. You just need to time when and where to cancel her attacks and her skills. You are good to go with Ingrid. Do I recommend her for beginners? The answer is a big yes due to her high attack rate and not being weapon dependent. Up next is Sakura. Sakura is actually pretty easy to use skill-wise. Just timing the dodge for her skill to snare enemies and her HP sustain along with other skills not to whiff. Those are the only things you need to learn. If you've gotten the timing down, you are good with Sakura. But again, there's a big but again. She is similar to Ingrid that has an attack string animation problem. It's very slow to amend this. You need supporters that boost character speed. Sakura, by the way, has one of the best stats in the game and has the highest crit. You just need proper timing with her skills and you are good to go with her. Do I recommend her as a starting character? Yes and no. Like Shira Nui, you need to build her from the ground up since she may have good stats and the best crit in the game. But her attack stat is a bit weak. Our next character is Rinko. Rinko has powerful skills and most are easy to learn, like the Meteor, Wind Slice, and Spiral Rift. Though her attack strings has some learning curve to it since it has attack cancel properties. She is a bit slower than Asaji when attacking, but she can actually attack cancel every attack string, making her safe to dodge any incoming attacks thrown at her while she is attacking. Her attack string ender can hit multiple times in an AoE attack, which can hit multiple enemies. Timing this is actually hard and situational, but when it hits it's very satisfying. Knowing when and where the enemy's armor is depleted or destroyed, that's the time you do her attack string. Stunned and groggy enemies take more damage and Rinko can take them out in one attack string without even needing skills. Do I recommend Rinko as a starter character? Yes, because of her powerful skills that are easy to use. Just remember her attack strings need timing and learning. Alright. It's time now for the easy to pick up characters. Yuki Kaze. Yuki Kaze is actually the second best starter character to pick and is easy to learn the basics of her skill. She has powerful range attacks and easy to learn skills. Timing her extreme dodge skill is easy to trigger thanks to her good evasion. There is only one skill that needs actual practice, it's her Raigeki, which have a just frame. Though overall, if you are not using Raigeki you don't need to learn that skill. Her other skills are easy to learn and are good enough to carry you as a player to high level play. Highly recommended as a one of the starting character. We got up next is Kurai Nui. Kurai Nui actually only has 2 learning curve in her skills, and that is her Gale Slash on her build. Like I said before, if you are not running this build you are actually good without it, unless you want that HP sustain it has. You need to learn the timing. Another is her God's Eye skill, which you need to time on an extreme dodge to activate various buffs on certain color builds. Then again, if you are not running God's Eye, Kurai Nui will be just as easy to pick up and play with her skills and her fast flurry of attack strings. Truly she's one of the best characters in the game. Highly recommend as one of your starting character. Our next easy to pick up character is Asuka. Asuka is actually really so easy to pick up. If you like button mashing, just slap in her Taimanin art and you are good to go. Her moves are so free-flowing, her recovery is fast and her evasion is also fast. Her moves are easy to learn, she doesn't have Lei or Kurai nice timing. Just dodge, do skills and mash buttons. But remember, put her Taimanin art skill, this is one of her bread and butter skill which makes her so good in the game, which makes her attacks range. Speaking of her skill, attacks all are actually good depending on your play style. Another highly recommended starting character to pick up, Murasaki, the powerhouse of Action Taimanin. Her skills are so easy to pick up and use, the only downside to her is that she is slow. Though to compensate for that, she has the most healing and sustain skills in the game. Her damage up close with her regular attack strings are so disgustingly strong, you only need a good SR weapon for her at the start. Her only evasion timing move is her tentacle mine. Once you got the timing done, you are set for life with Murasaki. She's one of the characters I highly recommend getting as one of your starting characters, since she can carry you on hard stages. It is the almighty herself, Asagi. She's one of the easiest character to use in the game. She has fast attacks and powerful skills. Asagi has one of the best skills in the game, Kaujin Ka, which slows down time and lets you hit enemies. It also has a low cooldown, which means you can actually spam this skill. You just need to learn how to properly time the extreme dodge to activate this skill and you are good with her. She has the best stats in the game and is very powerful with any color builds. Since she's an all-rounder character, it's either her or Yuki Kaze you can pick as a starting character. 100% you cannot go wrong with the almighty Taimanin. Last but not least, Asteroth. Asteroth has two skills to attack. One is a flamethrower which is mid-range that does more damage. The other one is a fireball attack that does weaker damage, but keeps her safe, because she can zone out enemies from a distance. She also has the best evasion in the game, though has the weakest recovery on the game and also has the lowest starting stats in the game. Though you do not need to work that hard, because when you level her up her stats spikes and she has the highest HP in the game currently. So sorry Oboro, you are no longer have the highest HP in the game. She is not automatic like Emily's Zero system. The only similarities they have is that they have the best range attacks in the game. Asteroth is more mobile and her movement speed is faster to avoid damage. She has though a bit lengthy animation when firing her projectile attacks. But overall she's got big damage, great zoning skills. She's a recommended as a starter character. The last category, Brain Dead, Emily Simmons. You all know this was coming. Just look at her gameplay. I have little to no input on the gameplay, only the ultimate at the end. I pushed the button. Just get her to level 14, get the Zero system skill and play her automatic and nearly in any content. Just remember, get an SR or UR weapon at max, you are good to go with her. She will auto dallies for you. And that is my personal ranking of all the current 15 playable characters in Action Taimanin, from who are the easiest to use to the hardest one to use. Like I said in the opening, this is a highly subjective category ranking based on my personal experience playing Action Taimanin. With all these characters, who is easiest or hardest to use in your opinion? Let's discuss that on the comments section.